Hi, I'm Zachary Lee, and I'm here to interview Samuel Chambers from the Korean conflict. I attend Lausanne School, and on our assignment was to interview someone from one of the wars. He was in the Korean conflict from January 53 to December 54. Ladies and gentlemen, Samuel Chambers.
Hello, everybody.
We'll start off with a few questions. So, Samuel, describe a typical family meal in your childhood.
My childhood, we were very poor. So a typical family meal, if we took breakfast, it would be buttermilk and cornbread. Lunch, most of the time we didn't have lunch. Dinner would be some kind of beans, neck bones, and cornbread.
Okay. If you had all the time in the world and all the money you needed, what would you do with it?
If I had all the time in the world and all the money, first I would contribute to my church. We'd build a new church. Secondly, I would contribute to the Diabetics Foundation, because I'm a diabetic. Hopefully we'll find a cure. After that, I'd take my wife, sail around the world.
Alright. What is the best gift you've ever given someone?
The best gift I've ever given someone is I've given my grandchildren tuition paid to go to any college in Tennessee that they would like to go to.
Agreed, the best gift. What is the best gift you've ever received?
Best gift I've ever received was when I was married and my first child was born. God gave me a healthy daughter, and she has been doing well.
Whom do you really trust?
I really trust my wife. She's been with me 53 years, and we've never had a serious argument.
If you could only take one last trip, where would you go?
Well, one last trip, it would be difficult to decide, but I've always wanted to see the Great Wall of China. So probably would walk on the Great Wall of China.
What have you liked most about getting older?
Most about getting older is being fortunate enough to have a reasonable portion of good health.
What's the biggest mistake you've ever made?
The biggest mistake I've made, I've thought about it a lot, is that when I was growing up, I had a chance to buy some good insurance policies, and I was too cheap. I didn't have enough sense to buy them, and I wished I had now. Because if I had bought those insurance policies, I'd be in good shape now financially.
Who are your three closest friends?
Three closest friends. First closest friend is my wife. She's my lover and my friend. Then there's Hal Draper and Ethan Lewis.
How are they different from one another?
Well, naturally, you know how my wife is different from each other, because I love her. But the same goes with Ethan and Draper. The difference is, Ethan is a farmer. He has a big farm over there in Arkansas. And he likes to talk about farming, and he still votes in Arkansas. So he talks about what he would do in Arkansas. Draper and I was in school together, so we have a lot in common about school and what we should have done to better prepare ourselves.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy is when my children do well and my grandchildren do well. And what I mean about well, I mean being successful in school and in life. When I hear something good has happened to one of my grandchildren or my children, I'm happy. It makes my heart go singing.
What are your greatest challenges or crises have you faced as an adult?
Greatest challenge I faced as an adult was to get my two children through college. It was a struggle, because money was a little slow. Sometimes I didn't know if we was going to make it. But with God's help, we made it. And I say today, thank you, Jesus.
What were some of your first experiences with music?
My experience with music has been nothing but to listen to it, because I'm not musically inclined. But I listen to a lot of music. But,
What music do you listen to at home?
My grandchildren always tease me about the music that I listen to because we listened to real music when we were growing up. We like jazz, we like blues, but we like music where you could understand what folk were saying. These kids today, they about boogaloo boogaloo. You don't know what they're saying. I don't understand how they could like that kind of music.
What health discoveries have helped you or members of your family?
Well, I would say that the health discovery that has helped me most was in 24. They discovered insulin. And because I'm a diabetic, I'm able to take insulin shots and live a fairly decent life.
Well, as we already know, but who or what is your love of your life?
Juanita Chambers, the girl I married 53 years ago, and we're still kicking strong. I love her, and I really believe she loves me, because we've never had a serious argument.
In what ways have you managed to share your passion and interests with your friends and family?
With my family, we've traveled around together a little bit. One that I guess I remember the most is when the whole family on my side and my oldest daughter's husband's side, we rented a house in Florida, and we spent Thanksgiving together. That was a tremendous time, the whole weekend.
Indeed, that was a tremendous time. All right, Granddad, can I ask you a few questions about the Korean War? First off, how was the war when you entered it, Mike? And what stage did you enter the war?
When I entered the war, I was 19 years old. And at that time, they say that every 20 seconds, somebody was dying. They were fighting like cats and dogs over there in Korea. I was fortunate enough not to be sent to Korea. I was sent to Germany. When I got orders after basic that I was going to Germany, I was happy as a lark not to be going to Korea.
Okay. How did you feel about the U.S. being pushed into the ocean? Did you ever think it would happen?
No, I don't, and I don't know if we were ever pushed into the ocean. I think the closest time we come to even losing a war was during World War II when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Since then, we've been prepared for war. I don't think anybody could beat us head on, but they giving us trouble now because they're doing guerrilla warfare. They the enemy in the day and then fighting us at night. And for some reason, our government won't take them on and just slaughter everybody that's fighting you. That's what my intention. If you fight because you run high, I'd bomb where you run into. If folk didn't want you to come there, they should tell you don't come here. Because if you ran in a house, wouldn't make any difference. I'd blow the whole house away.
What did you think about General MacArthur and his disobedience toward President Truman?
I frankly believe that everybody at that time agreed with MacArthur. They had what they call a 38th parallel. And North Koreans would come down, fight, and then when they start taking heat, they run back across the 38th parallel. MacArthur said, look, we're not going to fight them today and then they run back over there and get reinforced. Let's go over there and take them on. Let's block them out. Let's knock them all out. And everybody, well, no, not everybody, but most of the folk went along with MacArthur. But not Truman. Truman said, no, since you're going to disobey orders, I'm going to bring you home. And it was big headlines in the paper the next day. Truman fired MacArthur.
Did you think he should have fired MacArthur?
No, I didn't think he should have fired him. Don't nobody think he should have fired MacArthur. In hindsight, I don't believe Truman felt that way. After as to what happened, everybody believed if they had let MacArthur do what he wanted to do, we wouldn't have this problem that we're having today. But, you know, in the Army, you have to follow orders. And if you don't follow orders, They're going to fight. It doesn't make any difference whether it's right or wrong. If they tell you what to do, you do it. And in fact, when we were in basic, and one of the fellows asked a colonel or something, say, well, if an officer tell you to do something, how strong should you do it? And the colonel said, let me answer that. He said, if an officer tell you to go to hell, look forward to the trip. That's how strongly you have to do what you're supposed to do. Doesn't make any difference whether it's right or wrong.
Did it matter to you to understand why he was fighting, or did it simply fight because he just told you to do so?
But at that time, it didn't make me any difference to fight him. I was too young to realize really what was happening. But I felt like he should have let him do what he wanted to do. But I wasn't in love with the Army anyway, so I didn't like taking orders too much myself. So I went along with back off totally.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about the quality of the South Korean Army versus the North Korean Army, versus the Chinese versus the U.S. troops?
U.S. got the best fighting army and the best equipped army in the world. At that time, we were back in the South Korea, so they were pretty good. Chinese didn't have too much to fight with, but it was so many of them, they could overrun a 30 caliber machine gun that shoot 750 times a minute. And it was so many of them that you shooting 750 times a minute, they'd overrun it. What I mean by overrun, just keep coming until they overrun it. They just kill the person that's fighting.
What did you think about having the major city of Seoul so close to the border with North Korea?
I don't think it makes any difference whether it's close or not close. If you got the right kind of equipment to check it out, keep checks on it, on whoever it is. It's whether it's close or not, especially with all this modern equipment. Doesn't make any difference whether they're close or not. Look what happened here in the United States when they bombed the towers. They are miles and miles away, but they bombed them, knocked them out, killed all those people. So being close doesn't make any difference. It's what kind of intelligence you got that matters now in this modern day.
How did you feel about China entering the war?
When China entered the war, that was our fault. China was on our side during World War II. But for some reason, we got on the bad side of them, didn't agree with them or something. Somehow, they got on the side of the enemy. And they're tough. And they don't mind dying because there's so many of them. And then we were saying that they would be high. They'd be full of that jungle juice or whatever it was. And they'd come down there, they'd come off of them hills hollering and screaming. And that just the hollering and screaming would scare you. And now this is what I heard, because I was not in the shooting wall, but this is what the fellas that was there, my friends that made it back, told me. So they come over those hills hollering and screaming, high, and they don't care nothing about death. Most of the time they was half hungry, starving to death anyway. But they have the kind of equipment we had, but they didn't care anything about dying. And even today, they got folk that think it's an honor to die.